And what is that verse again?
It's 3:29:14.
3:29.
14.
14. Okay. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prashyata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahans Parikacharya Astotarasya Shri Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada की जय जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अस्तोत्र डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवास आदि गौर भक्त की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर धाम की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, मायापुर नदी धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी की जय, गंगा मई जमुना मई की जय, तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय, समवेत भक्त मंद की जय। निताय गो प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ऑल ग्लोरीज assemblies, हरे कृष्ण। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga.
So nice to hear your kirtan again, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, welcome back and welcome everyone to Srimad Bhagavatam reading with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj and friends. And today is March 13th on the East Coast of the USA. And we are we're taking up again from the middle of the purport to text 13. And that starts in the paragraph that says, when a devotee is promoted. So I need to get to that window. I'll start off the reading. Still speaking for my husband to save his vocal cords. So text 13, purport. When a devotee is promoted to the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, he receives 4 kinds of facilities. One of these is Salokya, living on the same planet as the Supreme Personality. The Supreme Person, in his different plenary expansions, lives on innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and the chief planet is Krishna Loka. Just as within the material universe, the chief planet is the sun, in the spiritual world, the chief planet is Krishna Loka. From Krishna Loka, the bodily effulgence of Lord Krishna is distributed not only to the spiritual world, but to the material world as well. It is covered by matter, however, in the material world. In the spiritual world, there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, and on each one, the Lord is the predominating deity. A devotee can be promoted to one such Vaikuntha planet to live with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Sarshti liberation, the opulence of the devotee is equal to the opulence of the Supreme Lord. Samipya means to be a personal associate of the Supreme Lord. In Sarupya liberation, the bodily features of the devotee are exactly like those of the Supreme Person, but for 2 or 3 symptoms found exclusively on the transcendental body of the Lord. Srivatsa, for example, the hair on the chest of the Lord, particularly distinguishes him from his devotees. A pure devotee does not accept these 5 kinds of spiritual existence, even if they are offered, and he certainly does not hanker after material benefits, which are all insignificant in comparison with spiritual benefits. When Prahlad Maharaj was offered some material benefit, he stated, "My Lord, I have seen that my father achieved all kinds of material benefits, and even the demigods were afraid of his opulence. But still, in a second, you have finished his life and all his material prosperity." For a devotee, there is no question of desiring any material or spiritual prosperity. He simply aspires to serve the Lord. That is his highest happiness. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I have no real comments on this except to ask the question. Prabhupada says a pure devotee does not accept these 5 kinds of spiritual existence, even if they are offered. So my erroneous implication of that or understanding of that is that, does that mean that the residents of Vaikuntha are not pure? But due to fatigue, my brain is not remembering certain reasons why some devotees may accept these benedictions, except for the purpose of serving the Lord. There's, there may be need to serve the Lord in these Vaikuntha planets for certain reasons. I cannot remember what they are. Maybe Maharaj can refresh me.
Omakyanatamirantasya kiranjana shalakaya chakrun militam jena tasmai Shri Gurave Nagrananti Tiyamanam Nagrananti. Even if they're given, he doesn't accept them. He's just not interested. What will I do with opulence, with having a form like the Lord? What is that? He's not interested in accepting these things. Vina mat sevanam jana. Except if there's some advantage for serving the Lord. That allowance is made. Vina mat sevanam. The devotee isn't interested, but for Krishna's service, all right, whatever you want. That's the position of the devotee. So, of course, that's for 4 of the liberations. The 5th liberation, Ekatvam Sayuja, the devotee never accepts, because there's no question of serving Krishna in Brahmajyoti. So that one, uncategorically, devotees always reject. The others, they also, what will I do with this? But all right, if it helps with service, if the Lord wants, then I'll accept it. Let's see. And the implication here is that if they won't accept even these spiritual opulences of liberation, then what to speak of material opulences? Generally, people want wealth, fame, beautiful wife, and so on. But sometimes, so they want these things. But the devotee, or they want liberation. If they're disgusted with the attempt to enjoy material opulence, then they want liberation. But the devotee doesn't want any of these things. So what is the value of these material opulences when the devotee rejects even spiritual opulences? That's the implication here.
Thank you, Maharaj. I could read a little bit from the commentary of Srila Vishwanath, if you'd like.
Yeah, you can also read your husband's comment.
Yes. And he also gave me some notes, which I also forgot to mention. So my husband in the chat says, similar to Sudama Vipra's acceptance of Krishna's gift of opulence.
Yes.
And Saraswati Mataji says in the chat, pranams, leaving aside the Kaivalya liberation, we see that a liberated soul can have all the other 4 liberations. For example, in Vaikuntha, there are devotees that look like Vishnu, live with him, are his personal associates, and same opulences too. Also, I'm not sure if I read that right. We see that a liberated soul can have all the other 4 liberations. For example, in Vaikuntha, there are devotees. For example, in Vaikuntha, there are devotees that look like Vishnu, live with him, and are his personal associates, and the same opulences too. Also, how can anyone have equal opulences as Krishna? No one can be equal to Krishna in terms of fame, opulences, knowledge, etc. Should I go on, or do you want to address those first, Maharaj?
Yes, I can. In Vaikuntha, these things are there. When Gop Kumar went to Vaikuntha, he was outside the gate, and and a Swan airplane arrived with this majestic 4-armed person being extolled with hymns and music and so on. And Gop Kumar immediately offered respects, "Oh Lord Narayan, oh Lord Narayan." And the devotees, I'm not Narayan. What is this, Narayan? Then another airplane arrived. And again, it appeared to be Narayan. No, I'm not Narayan. So in this way, Gopkumar got to know that there were so many devotees in Vaikuntha who had the same appearance as Narayan, the same opulences. They lived on the same planet as the Lord, and so on. And yet they weren't Narayan. So by the grace of Narayan, by the grace of Krishna, the devotees can be practically equal in opulence. The difference is that Krishna is independently full in all opulences, and the devotees are opulent in relation to Krishna, anyone else, for opulence. He himself is full of every opulence. But the devotee, if he's opulent, gets his opulence from Krishna. And Krishna can take away the opulence, or Krishna can maintain the opulence, but it comes from Krishna. It's not the devotee's own independent opulence. When Arjuna, after the departure of Krishna, the same Arjuna who was the hero of Kurukshetra couldn't even defend, couldn't even prevail over a band of cowherd men. So, because the opulence given to him by Krishna was withdrawn. So the opulence of the devotee may be equal to that of Krishna, but only by the grace of Krishna.
Maharaj, can we also say that because Krishna is constantly, his glories are constantly expanding, that whatever the devotee receives, he can never catch up to Krishna in terms of opulences?
That's also true. Even Krishna can't keep up with Krishna.
Shy. Also, in her next question, she says, we read before that a mixed devotee may aspire for the 4 kinds of liberation, which Srila Prabhupada said is the highest platform, where a pure devotee only wants service to Krishna.
Yes, a mixed devotee may aspire for these opulences. Pure devotee doesn't.
And Krishna Prabhu says, Muktim, he quotes, Muktim dadati karhichit smana bhakti yogam. Those engaged in getting the Lord's favor attain liberation from the Lord very easily, but he does not very easily give the opportunity to render direct service unto him. So the commentary from Srila Vishwanath on text 13, translation reads, the devotees do not accept living on my planet, having similar powers, staying close to me, or having a similar form. What to speak of merging into me when these things are offered, unless it involves service to me. In the commentary, to make clear the meaning illustrated by the example of the Ganga water, Kapila explains the lack of material desire in the devotees who have pure bhakti by the method of Caitanya-caritamrta. The devotees do not...
Caitanya-caritamrta means the logic nyaya of Kim Uta. Kim Uta becomes Kaimutya. So Kim Uta means what to speak of. What to speak of. So they don't desire even spiritual opulences. What to speak of. Material opulences. So that's Kaimutya. Kaimutya.
Yeah, that he goes on, the devotees do not accept even spiritual benedictions. What to speak of accepting material things. Salokya means living on the same planet as the Lord. Sashti means having powers similar to the Lord's. Samipya means staying near the Lord. Sarupya means having a form similar to the Lord's. Ekatvam means merging with the Lord. Even if these things are offered, the devotees do not accept them. What is the use of such things? They do not accept them without service to me. This means that if some devotees do accept these things, they accept for service to me. If there are no further questions or comments, we can move on to text 14. Mahesh Pandit Prabhu, would you like to read text 14?
Mahesh Pandit Prabhu, unmute.
Unmute, please. Yes.
Sa eva, we read the Sanskrit, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. Sa eva bhakti yogakhya atyandika udahata yena tivra jya trigunam mad bhavayo dadyate. Translation. By attaining the highest platform of devotional service, as I have explained, one can overcome the influence of the three modes of material nature and be situated in the transcendental stage, as is the Lord. Purport. Srimad Shankaracharya, who is supposed to be the leader of the impersonalist school of philosophers, has admitted in the beginning of his comment on Bhagavad Gita that Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is beyond the material creation. Except for him, everything is within the material creation. It is also confirmed in the Vedic literature that before the creation, there was only Narayan, neither Lord Brahma nor Lord Shiva existed. Only Narayan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu or Krishna, is always in the transcendental position beyond the influence of material creation. The material qualities of goodness, passion, and ignorance cannot affect the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is called Nirguna, free from all things of material qualities. Here, the same fact is confirmed by Lord Kapila. One who is situated in pure devotional service is transcendentally situated, as is the Lord. Just as the Lord is unaffected by the influence of the material modes, so too are his pure devotees. One who is not affected by three modes of material nature is called a liberated soul, or Brahma Bhuta soul. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma is the stage of liberation. Aham Brahmasmi, I am not this body. This is applicable only to the person who constantly engages in the devotional service of Krishna and is thus in the transcendental stage. He is above the influence of the three modes of material nature. It is a misconception of the impersonalists that one can worship any imaginary form of the Lord or Brahman and at the end merge in the Brahman effulgence. Of course, to merge into the bodily effulgence, Brahman, of the Supreme Lord is also liberation, as explained in the previous verse. Ekatva is also liberation, but that sort of liberation is never accepted by any devotee, for qualitative oneness is immediately attained as soon as one is situated in devotional service. For a devotee, that qualitative equality, which is the result of impersonal liberation, is already attained. He does not have to try for it separately. It is clearly stated here that simply by pure devotional service, one becomes qualitatively as good as the Lord himself. I like that last sentence. It is clearly stated here that simply by pure devotional service, one becomes qualitatively as good as Lord himself. Now the question may arise, what is devotional service? How do we perform? That is a whole another subject matter, but in short, especially in Kali Yuga, devotional service can be performed very easily just by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And that method is directly given from Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just 500 years ago, that's all. And later on, all the acharyas also confirmed. And then lately, Srila Prabhupada, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, we are all chanting that Mahamantra. And by chanting, we can make our life successful. Thank you.
Hi, Prabhu. Maharaj, I could read some of Srila Vishwanath and also my husband's notes on that. So,
I'll just add one thing.
sure.
That why do I need to aspire for oneness with the Lord? I'm already one with the Lord. The devotee experiences qualitative oneness with Krishna, Brahmabhuta Prasannatma. So he's joyful. I'm one with Krishna. We're of the same quality. So why do I need to merge with Krishna? I'm already one with Krishna. That's indicated here. But for devotee, qualitative equality, the result of impersonal liberation, is already attained. Okay, the notes.
So, Srila Vishwanath translation reads, the highest state of the highest state of existence is called bhakti, by which one surpasses the three gunas and attains prema for me. Then the commentary, and he asks, then why do they perform bhakti? They perform bhakti because it gives the highest result. Ayantika means the state at the very end. It indicates the most excellent result. But Atyantika means merging in Brahman. This Atyantika is called bhakti, bhakti yogakhya. For sometimes bhakti is also called apavarga, Brahman, or nirvana.
So that's an answer. Well, wait a second. Atyantika means merging with Brahman. And then the answer is, well, no, this is a different kind of Atyantika. This is Bhakti Yogakhya, the Atyantika, which is called Bhakti Yoga. Go ahead.
And then quotation, apavargascha bhavati yoso bhagavatanyaya bhagavatyan, oh, I can't say it. Bhagavatanyanya nimitta bhakti yoga lakshana. That bhakti yoga, devotional service to Lord Vasudeva, is the real path of liberation, apavarga. And that's from Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 19th chapter, text 20. Tad Brahma Nirvana Sukham Vidur Buddhas. Those who are wise understand the happiness of Brahman or Nirvana, from the 7th canto, 7th chapter, 37th text. Hara Vaikantikim Bhakti Moksham Ahur Manisina. The wise say that pure bhakti to the Lord is moksha. Bhaktir asya bhajanam tad iha muktro padhi nairasyena mushmin mana kalpanam etadeva naishkarmyam. Bhakti to the Lord means worship concentrating the mind on the Lord with rejection of objects of this world and the next. It is a state without karma, naishkarmya, and that's the Gopal Tapani Upanishad. But liberation from the bondage of the three gunas alone is famous as the final result. That is true. That is a byproduct of bhakti. Thus the verse says, by bhakti, one surpasses the gunas. But surpassing the gunas is achieved without seeking it, since simply by taking shelter of the Lord's feet, the ocean of samsara becomes as small as the water in a calf's hoofprint. And by that bhakti, one attains prema, directed to me, madbhavaya.
Brahmabhuta Prasannatma. Amam chayobhyavacharena bhakti yogena sevate. Sagunan samati jaitam brahmabhuyaya kalpate. By performing devotional service, one automatically transcends the three gunas. So the devotee doesn't separately have to have a program for transcending the modes of nature. He simply engages in the service of Krishna. And then liberation from the modes of nature is included in the package. Prabhupada's example, if you have a $100 bill, you don't separately need to get 50 or 20. They're all included. So by service to Krishna, automatically one gets free from the modes of nature, and by bhakti one can attain madbhavaya, prema, love for Krishna.
Yeah. I'm going to share some notes from my husband. He says, there's a similarity to Daivihesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva Prapantyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. We overcome the modes by surrendering to Krishna. It's a clinical explanation. Do this, and this ought to happen. It's not a sentimental or imaginary process. It remains for the informed individual to either accept or reject the call to action. Both to accept or to reject require faith, conviction, and will. Faith is required to advance any kind of learning whatsoever. The modes are real, Bhakti Yoga is real, we ourselves are real, the Lord is real, and the prospect of attaining a higher state of existence is also real. Whether we care enough to pursue the matter is the question. And then he has a question. Shankaracharya's statement, Narayana Parodya, raises the question of who is Narayan? If everyone else is within the material creation, what is he doing outside of it? Is he lonely out there? And if everything is Brahman except for this material creation, then what does Shankaracharya mean by outside? That would seem to indicate dualism, which is Maya. We don't hear much about what Shankaracharya's followers have to say about this statement of his.
Narayana Paro Vyaktat. He is beyond the manifest and unmanifest features of material existence. That means transcendental. But it doesn't seem that Shankaracharya elaborates on that, but the devotees notice it.
Comment from, are you have more to say, Maharaj?
No.
Comment from Saraswati or question from Saraswati in the chat box. So any devotee who is continuously engaged in bhakti, whether in material or spiritual world, is already a liberated soul. And the symptoms of liberation that we just read isn't necessary to prove a state of liberation achieved by a devotee?
Yes. Real liberation means to be engaged in the service of Krishna with body, mind, and words. That's liberation. We don't care about, oh, if you don't have forearms, you must not be liberated. The real feature is engagement in devotional service. And anyone who's Brahmabhuta Prasanatman Shojati Nikangshati Samasraveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Para. Anyone who's engaged in devotional service has already gone beyond the Brahmabhuta platform. He's more than liberated.
Praveen Krishna Prabhu says, is it that only the pain of separation felt by the devotees is ecstasy? Or when the cowherd boys are feeling pain from the forest fire and calling out to Krishna for protection, is that pain also ecstasy since they are always liberated?
Everything's ecstasy. When the devotees are with Krishna, that's ecstasy. When they're separated from Krishna, that's ecstasy. Everything in the life of a Krishna devotee is ecstasy. Any devotional service is ecstatic. It may be this kind or that kind.
I'll read Gurudas Prabhu's comments next, but I just wanted to chime in when Mahesh Pandit Prabhu was appreciating the last sentence of the purport, that simply by devotional service one becomes qualitatively as good as the Lord himself. It reminds me of the metaphor that Prabhupada uses about the iron rod in the fire. You know, it's just hard, dull, dark, and by contact with the fire, it gradually develops the qualities of fire itself. And when you said that everything is ecstasy, yeah, everything is Krishna's ecstasy, and you know, some of us have our eyes closed and don't see it, but it's there. Gurudas Prabhu writes, Dandavats Maharaj and devotees, a carryover from the last verse. Is it fair then to understand that when Srila Prabhupada and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti say the devotee rejects these kinds of liberation, he is saying that the pure devotee rejects these opulences as the all in all. The impersonalist who once becomes liberated thinks there is nothing more to be had. He has it made. As Maharaj and the Acharyas are kindly saying over and over for our benefit, the devotee should refuse to stop at these liberations, glorious as they are, since his aspiration is constant service, with or without these sarshti samipya opulences.
The way it's stated seems to be stronger, both the way Prabhupada puts it and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur puts it. The devotee rejects these liberations. He's reluctant. I don't want these liberations. Not just that, all right, the liberations are not very important, but he doesn't want them. He rejects them. That's the way Prabhupada puts it, although the verse says, Vinamat bhaktim, bhaktim something jana. Without devotional service, the devotee rejects it. But Prabhupada and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur put it that he rejects them. So the devotees really don't want these liberations, only reluctantly. All right, all right, all right. Just like Nrsingadev, he offered Prahlad Maharaj some benedictions. No, I don't want any benedictions. Do you think I'm a merchant? I only come here to serve you so that I can get something? Please don't put me in that position. Then Nrsingadev says, no, please accept something, if only to make me happy. All right, then please give liberation to my father. That means he wasn't aspiring that let me do this so that I can get some result. But because the Lord insisted, all right, I'll accept it. Dhruva Maharaj, the same thing. He, at the mature stage, he didn't want anything. But then Krishna insisted, you take this. And the example of Sudama is already given.
Maharaj, my husband and I were talking the other day about how when Krishna, when he speaks to the gopis in the forest, and he says, I can never repay you, even in a day of Brahma, if I'm remembering it correctly. And he says, you have to be satisfied with your own good deeds. And I was thinking about it. I don't know if this is a correct understanding or not, but I was thinking that there can't be anything for the gopis to be satisfied, because their nature is that they want to love and serve Krishna. So if he were to reward them, then that's taking away from their pleasure, because then it becomes a transaction almost, and they want only to love Krishna. That's the satisfaction. And in that sense, they partake of the nature of Krishna, because Krishna is constantly expanding himself, and he's giving love to all the all the jivas, all his shaktis. He's constantly giving his love, and in one sense we can say service, because we cannot survive without him. We cannot we have our existence in him. So, it's not like we're talking about serving somebody by cleaning up after them or whatever, but we don't exist without him. So in that sense, he is serving us. So we become like Krishna because we only want to serve and we only want to love him. And there can't be any reward because that's not what gives us the happiness. If we're in the right situation, if we're rightly situated in understanding how to serve Krishna.
For the materialist, Krishna can give various awards, wealth, fame, property. And he can even give liberation of various kinds. But but he rarely gives devotional service. Was that quote mentioned earlier? That I may give some other benedictions, but I rarely give the benediction of devotional service. But here, the gopis, they've achieved that benediction in full. They're absorbed in the highest stage of pure devotional service. So what else is there to give? If you were a materialist and I wanted to uplift you, I could bring you to devotional service. If you were a Brahmavadi and I wanted to uplift you, I could bring you to a devotional service. If you were a mixed devotee, I could bring you to pure devotional service. But they're already on the highest stage of ecstatic love for Krishna. So what else? What will he give? I can't repay you. I have nothing else.
Saraswati says, someone was saying how they feel hollow and empty because fact is nothing in the material world can ever give continuous ecstasy. Only by attaining the treasure of Krishna Prema can one feel unmatched bliss, regardless of whether you are in the material or spiritual world.
Yes.
Gurudas Prabhu has his hand up.
Oh yeah, and I have Mukunda Prabhu here. I better call on him because he's behind me and I won't see his hand.
My question is, when hearing these statements that a devotee is immediately freed by practicing devotional service, is immediately transcendental to the modes of material nature, or automatically attains or goes beyond the Brahmabhuta stage. Someone who could say, well, it looks like, I see so many devotees are practicing devotional service, but some are struggling more with conditioning in the lower modes, or some are struggling more with tamasic conditioning, rajasic conditioning, and some people who are even atheistic may be struggling less with some of those, the conditioning of those lower modes. So how will they understand that?
There are two answers that come to mind. In regard to these benedictions, anyone who sees the Ratha Yatra cart attains this. Anyone who circumambulates the temple attains that. In the Nectar of Devotion, Prabhupada comments that not always, but these results are entirely possible, but they're not invariable. These results must be obtained, but very possible. That's one answer. Another answer is given by Hari Parshad Prabhu. There's a logic, I've forgotten the Sanskrit for this logic, but the substance of it is that you're ready to go to Chicago. So you leave home, you get in a taxi, you head to the airport, you get on the plane, and you're going to Chicago. So then someone calls and speaks to someone at your house, where's Mukunda Charan? And the person answers, he's gone to Chicago. So you may not be in Chicago yet. You may still be in the taxi, or you might still be at the airport, or you may be in the plane. But you've gone to Chicago because you've begun the process. It's only a question of time. Is that okay? Mm. Okay, then there was another question here.
Gurudas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj, my obeisance.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I'm trying to understand this in the best way. I understand, of course, Lord's benedictions to the materialists, and when the Lord speaks to his devotee, there's so when the Lord Nrsingadev spoke to Prahlad Maharaj, could we say that Prahlad Maharaj was being tested in front of the entire universe, and he naturally, to glorify the Lord, rejected that or rejected the Lord's benediction for that reason? Because it seems counterintuitive that a devotee, if the Lord offers something, that the devotee would say no, because it's Krishna that's offering. So isn't there a part of the devotee that would naturally want to accept that? But I guess in the example you gave of Prahlad Maharaj, he's rejecting it because of his relationship, or because of the service opportunity, or both?
There's a bit of history that comes to mind, Saudi Arabian history. There was a point at which the king, I forget whether it was Ibn Saud or one of his successors, wanted to get something done. It was one of those multi-billion-dollar things, and he wanted it done. And so he called upon someone to do it, capable person. And the person did it. He pulled it off. And the king was pleased and offered him some, quite the gift, quite the compensation. But that man said, no, I can't accept anything. I did this for my king. I did this for my king. How can I accept some payment?
I understand and accept completely your response. I want to add this mini question. So if the devotee is brought up in the understanding that whatever the Lord does, that's also for my benefit, that mentality which we're aspiring for, that whatever Krishna says we want to do, we want to accept, we want to but I guess it's in my tiny brain, it's a question of balancing these different understandings, which the pure devotee naturally, he can sort out immediately, because his heart is completely pure.
I can give another example. You do something for one of your friends, whatever it is, you help him out, you get him out of a jam, you sort something out for him, and he wants to give you something. So, no, I didn't do this to get some payment. I just wanted to help you out. It almost, I don't want to lessen our friendship by taking some payment, some compensation. I just did that for you. So the devotee feels like that, then I'm doing this for Krishna. I'm not doing this so they can get liberation or something else. I just want to serve.
Thank you, Maharaj. That's very nice clarification.
Maharaj, your comment about the person doing his service for the king.
Or can you imagine, while I'm thinking about it, that, you know, Mother Yashoda, Krishna says, you know, you've done so much for me, let me pay you. Where's the question of paying? Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, what you're saying is kind of like an insult. You know, I do this out of love, not out of desire for remuneration or reciprocation. I was just thinking though of when you were talking about historical, I was remembering a story of a man who had he died and he left a will, and in his will he asked his best friend, he says, "What I'm leaving you is my family. You have to take care of them." And it was sort of a turning upside down on the head of giving. He's like, you are so near to me. I don't count on anyone else to take care of my family. And the friendship was so strong that he could ask such a thing. So I think we're in the position of it makes me think as a conditioned living entity that we're supposed to leave everything to Krishna and not, we depend on Krishna for everything. So it's similar in that respect, but we're supposed to be cultivating the mood of doing service, but at the same time, we're dependent on Krishna for everything. And if we don't over endeavor to maintain ourselves because we know Krishna is taking care of us.
And the other thing is that this is spontaneous. It's not that the devotee weighs that, well, on one side, I'm supposed to be practicing pure devotional service. And on the other side, well, Krishna's offering to give me something, and I don't want to seem ungrateful. Spontaneously. These are, as an expression, natural expression of spontaneous love for Krishna. The devotee is keen to serve Krishna and not keen to accept any material or spiritual compensation. These are spontaneous feelings in the devotee. It's not a question of, well, I read the Srimad Bhagavatam and I know that according to this example, that example, in this verse and that verse, this is what I should do. It's spontaneous. Spontaneous love.
It is 7:54, almost 7:55. We're reaching the end of our time. And Maharaj, would you want to have a local kirtan there with your companion in the room, or otherwise I have someone at the ready here.
Okay, we have Mukunda Charan Prabhu and his brother.
Hi.
They will
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Guru Dasa Jayadvaita Swami Niti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshutarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtodharashta Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jaya. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakaacharya Ashtodharashta Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jaya. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jaya. Ram Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jaya. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय, यमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, Samaveta Bhakta-vrinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga.
Mukunda Charan Prabhu ki jai.
Jai. Thank you very much for this serene, sweet, and simple kirtan. And thank you, Maharaj, for being with us again today. And thank you to all of you for joining us for Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami and friends. And we look forward to seeing you on Thursday, tomorrow, for Sri Caitanya-caritamrta class. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jayadvaita Maharaj ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Thank you, Maharaj. Very nice to hear from you after a long time.
Wonderful to hear from you, Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Are you back in New Jersey?
Yes.
Where are you?
And in New Jersey, Maharaj.
Okay.
And where are you, Maharaj?
I'm in Mayapur.
Oh, in Mayapur. Okay.
And I apologize for skipping over Murari Gupta Prabhu's question. Maybe we can address that on Friday. It'll be in the chat. Thank you.
I'm
Hare
very
Krishna.
glad to be back, Maharaj. Very glad.
Thank you so much. Wonderful to have your company again.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.